The massive war room stretched across 3 levels of the hegemony command ship. Purple lights cast long shadows on the metal walls where dozens of alien officers moved between glowing screens. The air smelled of ozone and something sharp that humans would never recognize. Admiral Vextar stood at the center of it all, his 8-foot frame covered in dark scales that caught the light like armor. His 6 eyes focused on the holographic display floating before him. The image showed a spiral galaxy arm with thousands of star systems marked in different colors. Red meant conquered, blue meant under attack, yellow meant scheduled for invasion. One small yellow dot caught his attention. "Sector 7 Alphanine," he said in his deep voice. His words came out as clicks and hisses, but the translation device made them clear to everyone present. "Show me the intelligence report." A younger officer with 4 arms rushed forward. "Commander." Zalthos had been eager to prove himself ever since joining the fleet. His purple skin was lighter than the Admiral's, marking him as someone from a conquered world rather than a pure hegemony bloodline. "Admiral, the target system contains 9 planets around a medium-sized star," Zalthos began. He waved his lower arms and the display zoomed in. "The 3rd planet shows signs of life. Our long-range probes detected radio signals and primitive spacecraft." Vextar's main eyes narrowed while his smaller ones studied the data streams flowing beside the image. "How primitive?" "It's very primitive, sir. They appear to have discovered nuclear energy only recently. Their spacecraft barely reached their own moon. Intelligence estimates they are at least 500 years behind our weakest colony worlds." The Admiral's mouth curved in what might have been a smile if he were human, but the rows of sharp teeth made it look more like a threat. "Perfect. Another easy addition to the Empire." Around the room, other officers nodded in agreement. The hegemony had been expanding for over 2,000 years. They had conquered hundreds of worlds and absorbed dozens of species. Most never put up much of a fight. Those that did were quickly crushed by superior technology and overwhelming force. "What do they call themselves?" Vextar asked. Zalthos checked his datapad. "The dominant species calls themselves humans. They live on the planet they name Earth. Population estimated at around 8 billion individuals." 8 billion! The Admiral's voice carried amusement. "They breed like insects. No wonder they are running out of resources on their single world." "The probes also detected multiple languages and political divisions," Zalthos continued. "Over 200 separate nations exist on their planet. They appear to spend considerable time fighting each other rather than working together." This information pleased Vextar greatly. Divided species were easier to conquer. Hegemony had learned long ago that unity was strength. Worlds that fought among themselves could rarely organize effective resistance when the fleet arrived. "Weapons." "Assessment," Vextar demanded. "Primitive chemical explosives and early atomic devices," Zalthos replied without hesitation. "Their most advanced weapons could not penetrate even our lightest shields. Their spacecraft appeared to be propelled by controlled chemical explosions." Several officers in the room made sounds that translated as laughter. Chemical rockets were what the hegemony had used 3,000 years ago when they first left their home world. Seeing another species still using such ancient technology was almost insulting. "What about defenses?" Vextar asked, though he already suspected the answer. "None that would concern us, Admiral. They have some satellites around their planet, but these appear to be for communication and observation only. No energy shields protect their world. No orbital weapons platforms guard their space." Vextar turned away from the display and looked out through the massive viewing port. Stars stretched in all directions, many of them lighting worlds that now served the hegemony. In a few more generations, every star in this galaxy arm would be under their control. "Commander Zalthos," he said without turning around, "you will take Scout Fleet Gamma 7 to this Earth? Follow standard procedure." Zalthos straightened. To attention, all 4 arms pressed against his sides. "Yes, Admiral. Standard reconnaissance and assessment." "Exactly. Observe their defenses, catalog their technology, count their ships, and identify any potential resistance leaders. Take detailed recordings of their major population centers. We will need target priorities when the main fleet arrives." "How long should the mission take, sir?" Vexstar finally turned back to face his subordinate. 2 cycles should be more than enough time. These humans have barely left their own planet. I doubt they will even notice your ships until you choose to reveal yourselves. Around the room, officers began preparing for the mission. Fleet composition, supply requirements, and intelligence priorities all needed to be organized. Scout Fleet Gamma 7 consisted of 12 ships, each designed for stealth observation and light combat. Against primitive humans, it would be overwhelming. Force, Admiral Zelthos said carefully. Should we prepare for any specific contingencies? Vexstar's laugh was a harsh sound. What contingencies could there be? They have no interstellar travel, no energy weapons, and no unified government. The only question is whether they will surrender immediately or put up token resistance first. And if they resist, then you will demonstrate the futility of opposing the hegemony. Destroy one of their cities from orbit. That usually convinces the survivors to be more reasonable. Zelthos nodded and began to leave, but Vexstar stopped him with a raised hand. Commander, remember that this is your chance to prove yourself worthy of greater responsibility. The hegemony rewards those who serve efficiently. Complete this mission successfully, and you may find yourself commanding a full battle fleet during the conquest phase. I will not disappoint you, Admiral. See that you do not. Failure is not acceptable in the hegemony. After Zelthos left, Vexstar returned his attention to the star map. Earth was just one small dot among thousands, but every conquest brought the Empire closer to total galactic dominance. Soon, there would be no free worlds left. No independent species to challenge hegemony rule. He thought about the humans and their divided planet. They probably spent their time worrying about their petty local conflicts, completely unaware that their entire civilization was about to change forever. In a few cycles, Earth would be another colony world, its people serving the Empire whether they wanted to or not. The Admiral's personal communicator chimed softly. His aide's voice came through clearly. Sir, Scout Fleet Gamma 7 reports ready for departure. Excellent. Give Commander Zelthos clearance to proceed. Remind him that I expect regular reports every quarter cycle. Understood, Admiral. Vexstar watched through the viewing port as 12 sleek ships detached from the command vessel. Their hulls were dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Each ship was 300 meters long and packed with sensors, computers, and enough firepower to level a city. The scout fleet formed up in perfect formation before activating their hyperspace drives. Space around them twisted and bent as reality folded in on itself. In a flash of purple light, all 12 ships vanished, racing toward the distant yellow star where 8 billion humans lived their lives in complete ignorance of what was coming. Admiral Vexstar smiled again and turned back to his star maps. By the time Scout Fleet Gamma 7 returned with their intelligence report, he would have selected the next target system. The Great Expansion would continue, just as it had for 2 millennia. He never imagined that he was about to lose 12 ships and their entire crews to the primitive humans of Earth. The hyperspace journey to Earth took Scout Fleet Gamma 7 exactly 18 standard days. Commander Zelthos spent most of that time reviewing intelligence reports and planning the mission. Everything seemed straightforward. The humans appeared to be exactly what the long-range probes had suggested. A primitive species that had barely begun to explore space. When the fleet dropped out of hyperspace near the gas giant Jupiter, Zelthos felt confident about the mission ahead. His 12 ships hung in the darkness, their sensors immediately beginning detailed scans of the inner solar system. The readings confirmed what he expected to see. Report he ordered from his command chair. His science officer, a thin alien, with green skin and large black eyes, checked her instruments. Sir, we are detecting electromagnetic signatures consistent with early industrial civilization. Radio transmissions, primitive satellites, and basic computer networks. Any sign they have detected our arrival? Negative, Commander. Their sensor technology appears limited to optical telescopes and radio receivers. They show no awareness of our presence. Zelthos allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Everything was proceeding according to plan. The humans were as primitive as expected. was completely unaware that 12 alien warships now lurked in their solar system. But something felt wrong. He could not explain the feeling that crept up his spine. His forearms unconsciously gripped the sides of his chair as he stared at the sensor displays. The readings all matched the intelligence reports perfectly, too perfectly. Helm, take us closer to the third planet. Maintain stealth protocols. Sir, moving to high orbit around Earth, far below on the human planet. Dr. Lisa Grant was working the night shift at the Arecibo Radio Telescope facility in Puerto Rico. She had been monitoring deep space signals for over 10 years, hoping to find evidence of intelligent life among the stars. What she found that night was more than she had ever bargained for. Her computer screen suddenly filled with readings that made no sense. Energy signatures appeared near Jupiter that were unlike anything natural. The patterns were too regular, too organized to be random cosmic phenomena. That's impossible, she whispered to herself, running the data through every filter and analysis program she had. The results came back the same every time. 12 distinct objects had appeared in the outer solar system. They were moving. Dr. Lisa grabbed her phone and called her colleague, Dr. James Murphy, at home. The phone rang 6 times before his sleepy voice answered. "James, you need to get down here right now," Lisa said, her voice shaking slightly. "Lisa, what time is it? What's wrong?" "Detecting multiple objects near Jupiter." "They're artificial, James. They're not natural phenomena." There was a long pause on the other end. Of the line, Dr. James had worked with Lisa long enough to know she did not make mistakes with data analysis. "Are you certain? I've run the readings 12 times. These objects appeared suddenly. They're moving in formation, and they're heading toward the inner solar system. James, I think we're looking at alien spacecraft. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Meanwhile, aboard the International Space Station, Captain Karen Davis was conducting her morning equipment checks when her instruments detected something unusual. As a former Air Force pilot, she had trained to notice details that others might miss. The readings on her deep space monitor showed objects that had not been there the day before. "Houston, this is ISS. I'm seeing some unusual readings on long-range sensors, requesting confirmation of any scheduled missions in the outer system." The voice of Mission Control came back clear and professional. "ISS, we show no scheduled missions beyond lunar orbit." "Can you describe what you're seeing?" Karen studied her displays more carefully. The objects were too far away for visual confirmation, but the computer showed 12 distinct signals moving in perfect formation. "Houston, I'm reading 12 objects in formation near Jupiter. They appeared sometime in the last 6 hours and they're moving toward Earth." "Copy that, ISS. We're checking with all space agencies now. Stand by." In the Mission Control Center in Houston, Flight Director Robert Martinez felt his stomach drop as he heard Karen's report. He immediately contacted NORAD, the European Space Agency, and every other organization that might have spacecraft in the outer system. The answer came back the same from everyone. No human missions were operating near Jupiter. President William Lee Hayes was woken up at 4 a.m. by a call from his chief of staff. Within an hour, he was sitting in the White House Situation room with his top advisors. General Patricia Bell, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, laid out the situation with military precision. "Mr. President, we have confirmed reports of 12 unknown objects approaching from the outer solar system. They appeared suddenly near Jupiter and are moving in formation toward Earth. No human agency has spacecraft in that area." President Hayes rubbed his tired eyes and tried to process the information. "Are we certain these are not natural objects? Asteroids or comets?" "Sir, asteroids and comets do not travel in perfect formation. These objects are under intelligent control." Defense Secretary Paul Roberts leaned forward in his chair. "Mr. President, if these are alien spacecraft, we need to consider our response options. Our current space-based assets are extremely limited." Bell nodded in agreement. "We have 3 operational spacecraft capable of intercept missions. The Phoenix, Intrepid, and Ranger are all prototype vessels, but they represent our most advanced space technology." "How advanced?" the president asked. "They use nuclear pulse propulsion and carry basic defensive systems. Against unknown alien technology, we have no way to predict their effectiveness. President Hayes looked around the room at his advisors. Every face showed the same mixture of fear and determination. Humanity was about to face its first contact with alien intelligence, and they had no idea what to expect. Who would command such a mission? Commander Daniel Carter is our most experienced test pilot, General Bell replied. He has more time in experimental spacecraft than anyone else in our program. His crew would include engineer Nicole Foster and communications specialist Ryan Clark. Back in space, Commander Zelthos was growing more confused by the minute. The ships had moved into high orbit around Earth, and the detailed scans were providing information that did not match the intelligence. Reports? Science officer, explain these energy readings, he demanded. The green-skinned alien checked her instruments again before responding. Sir, I am detecting electromagnetic signatures that suggest more advanced technology than we expected. There appear to be orbital installations that were not visible from long range. What kind of installations? Unknown, Commander. They are well hidden and using some form of stealth technology. I can only detect them because we are so close to the planet. Isothos felt the uncomfortable feeling in his spine grow stronger. Something was definitely wrong with this mission. The humans were supposed to be primitive, but stealth technology required advanced engineering and materials science. Are they military installations? It's impossible to determine without closer examination. Sir, should I begin active scanning? No. Maintain passive observation only. I do not want to reveal our presence until we understand what we are dealing with. On Earth, Commander Daniel Carter was sitting in the briefing room at Edwards Air Force. Bayes listening to the most incredible mission briefing of his career. The Phoenix spacecraft sat on the launch pad outside, its experimental engines ready for humanity's first interstellar diplomatic mission. Your primary objective is peaceful contact, General Bell explained. Approach slowly. Try to establish communication and assess their intentions. Do not take any aggressive action unless directly threatened. Carter nodded, though his military training told him this mission was extremely dangerous. What if they are hostile? Then you use your best judgment, Commander. You will be representing all of humanity out there. Nicole Foster, the mission engineer, raised her hand. General, what do we know about their technology level? Very little. No? They appeared without warning and are maintaining formation at distances that suggest advanced propulsion systems. Assume they are significantly more advanced than we are. Ryan Clark, the communications specialist, looked nervous but determined. Do we have any idea how to communicate with them? Start with mathematics and basic physics. They are spacefaring. They will understand universal constants. Beyond that, you will have to improvise. As the briefing ended, Carter felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. In a few hours, he would be flying toward unknown alien vessels, carrying the hopes and fears of his entire species. He only hoped that humanity was ready for whatever came next. Above Earth, Commander Zelthos watched his sensors detect the launch of a small human spacecraft. A primitive vessel was heading directly toward his fleet position. His confusion grew deeper as he realized the humans had somehow detected his ships despite their stealth systems. Sir, should we retreat? Considered the option, but his pride would not allow it. No. We are here to complete our mission. Let them come. The Phoenix spacecraft climbed through Earth's atmosphere with smooth precision. Commander Daniel Carter watched the blue curve of his home planet fall away below as his ship accelerated toward the alien fleet. His hands gripped the control stick, with practiced calm, but his heart was beating faster than normal. Phoenix Control to Houston, Ryan Clark spoke into his headset. We have achieved escape velocity and are on course to intercept the unknown objects. Copy that, Phoenix, came the voice from Mission Control. You are go for approach. Remember, peaceful contact is the primary objective. Nicole Foster checked her instruments from the engineer's station. Daniel, I'm reading some unusual energy signatures from those ships. Their power output is way beyond anything we've seen before. Carter nodded but kept his eyes on the navigation display. The 12 alien ships hung in space like dark jewels, their hulls reflecting very little light. As the Phoenix drew closer, the details became clearer. Each vessel was sleek and curved, nothing like human spacecraft design, My God, Foster whispered. They're beautiful, and they were. The alien ships looked more like works of art than weapons of war. Their surfaces seemed to flow like liquid metal, and soft lights pulsed along their hulls in hypnotic patterns. Carter had expected something threatening and military. Instead, he was looking at technology that appeared almost magical. Ryan, any response to our communication attempts? Clark shook his head while adjusting his equipment. Nothing yet. I've been broadcasting on all frequencies with mathematical sequences and basic physics. Either they're not listening, or they don't want to talk. Aboard the lead alien vessel, Commander Zelthos watched the human ship approach with growing amazement. The primitive spacecraft was moving much faster than it should have been capable of. The energy readings from its engines were completely wrong according to the intelligence reports. Science officer, explain those propulsion signatures, he demanded. The green-skinned alien studied her displays with confusion written across her face. Sir, that vessel appears to be using nuclear pulse propulsion. That technology should be far beyond their current capabilities. Are you certain? Yes, Commander. The energy patterns are unmistakable. They are achieving velocities that should require antimatter or zero-point energy systems. Zelthos felt his confidence beginning to crack. Nuclear pulse drives were advanced technology that most species did not develop until they'd been spacefaring for hundreds of years. The intelligence reports had indicated the humans had barely reached their own moon using chemical rockets. Sir, his communications officer interrupted. The human vessel is broadcasting mathematical sequences. They appear to be attempting first contact protocols. Can you understand their language? Not yet, sir, but the mathematics are universal. They are clearly intelligent and trying to establish peaceful contact. Zelthos made a decision that would change everything. Against standard hegemony protocol, he decided to respond to the humans directly. Open a channel, he ordered. Let us see what these primitives have to say. Carter was studying the alien ships through his telescope when Ryan Clark suddenly straightened in his seat. Daniel, I'm getting a response. They're transmitting back on the same frequency. What are they saying? It's not language yet, just mathematical responses to our sequences. But they're definitely intelligent, and they understand what we're trying to do. Carter felt a mixture of excitement and fear. Humanity was making first contact with an alien species. Everything they said and did in the next few minutes might determine the future of both civilizations. Try basic language introduction protocols, Carter ordered. Start with simple nouns and verbs. As Ryan began transmitting language lessons, the response from the alien ships came much faster than expected. Within minutes, a voice came through their speakers, speaking clear English with a slight accent. Primitive humans, I am Commander Zelthos. Of the Hegemony Scout Fleet, your vessel will halt its approach and prepare to be boarded for inspection. The words hit Carter like a physical blow. Primitive humans. The alien was talking to them like they were children or animals. His military training kicked in immediately. This is Commander Daniel Carter of the Earth vessel Phoenix. Welcome you to our solar system and request peaceful dialogue between our species. There was a pause before Zelthos responded, and when he did, his voice carried clear amusement. Commander Carter, your world has been selected for incorporation into the Hegemony Empire. You will submit to our authority or be destroyed. This is not a negotiation. The silence in the Phoenix cockpit was deafening. Carter, Foster, and Clark all stared at each other in shock. The aliens had not come in peace. They had come to conquer Earth. Say that again, Carter said slowly. Your species will surrender unconditionally or face complete annihilation. Your primitive technology cannot stand against the power of the hegemony. Submit now, and your deaths will be quick. Foster's face went pale as she realized what they were hearing. Daniel, they're here to invade us. Carter's jaw tightened as he made the most important decision of his life. Ryan, send a priority message to Earth immediately. Code Red, these are not peaceful visitors. Back on Earth, the message from Phoenix sent shockwaves through every government and military command center on the planet. President Hayes was back. In the Situation Room within minutes, his face grim as he listened to the recording of the alien transmission. They want us to surrender, General Bell said simply. They're here to conquer Earth. What are our options? The president asked. Very limited with conventional forces, Bell replied. But sir, there is something else you need to know. Something that has been classified above your current security level. President Hayes felt his blood run cold. What are you talking about? General Bell looked around the room at the other military leaders, then back at the president. Sir, we need to activate Project Blackbird. I've never heard of Project Blackbird. That was intentional, Mr. President. The project has been operational for over 40 years. We've been preparing for exactly this scenario. Deep beneath Cheyenne Mountain, Colonel Andrew Stone received the call he had been expecting his entire career. The gruff veteran had spent 25 years managing humanity's most secret program, waiting for the day when it would be needed. Colonel Stone, this is General Bell. Authorization code Sierra 7 Alpha 9. Activate all Blackbird assets immediately. Stone felt his pulse quicken as he entered the authorization codes. Around him, technicians began bringing online systems that had been hidden from the world for decades. General, all defensive platforms are powering up. Estimated time to full operational status is 15 minutes. Understood, Colonel. The safety of Earth is in your hands. As Colonel Stone worked to activate humanity's secret defenses, the truth began to emerge. The crashed alien probe that had been recovered in 1961 had not been an accident. It had been a test probe sent by the hegemony to assess Earth's technological development. Instead of reporting their discovery to the world, a secret international coalition had reverse-engineered the alien technology for over 60 years. The best scientists from every major nation had worked together in hidden facilities. They had developed weapons, shields, and spacecraft using technology centuries ahead of what the public knew existed. Earth appeared primitive because they wanted it to appear primitive. Dr. Lisa Grant was still at her telescope when her computer detected massive energy surges from orbital space around Earth. Power signatures were appearing that dwarfed anything she had ever recorded. What the hell? She muttered, checking her instruments. According to her readings, dozens of massive energy sources had just activated in Earth orbit that had been completely invisible until this moment. High above Earth's surface, hidden platforms that had waited decades for this moment began revealing themselves. Cloaking fields deactivated, showing battle stations that had been disguised as communication satellites. Weapon systems that could crack mountains powered up with silent efficiency. Commander Zelthos was growing impatient with the human delay in responding to his ultimatum when his science officer suddenly cried out in alarm. Sir, massive energy readings appearing throughout the system. Unknown vessels are decloaking around the third planet. Zalthos spun toward his displays and felt his blood freeze. The space around Earth was suddenly filled with human ships and battle platforms. Vessels that matched his own technology were appearing everywhere, their weapons already powering up for combat. Impossible, he whispered. The intelligence report said they were primitive. Sir, those weapon signatures match our own defensive systems. Some appear to be even more advanced. On the Phoenix, Carter watched in amazement as Earth revealed its true defenses. Hidden shipyards near the moon were launching vessels that looked nothing like any human spacecraft he had ever seen. The planet he thought he knew was transforming before his eyes into a fortress. Ryan, get me a channel to those new ships, Carter ordered. Already connected, sir. Captain Susan Wright, commanding the defense platform Cerberus. A woman's voice came through their speakers, calm and professional. Phoenix, this is Captain Wright. Please move to a safe distance. We are about to engage hostile alien forces. Space around Earth exploded into chaos as hidden human battle stations opened fire on the alien scout fleet. Commander Zelthos watched in horror as his ships came under attack from weapons that should not have existed. Energy beams lanced through the darkness, striking his vessels with deadly precision. All ships, evasive maneuvers. He screamed into his communicator. Return fire immediately, but his fleet was already trapped. The humans had positioned their hidden platforms in a perfect sphere around the alien ships. Every direction Zelthos looked, he saw human weapons firing at his forces. His vessels twisted and turned through space, trying to escape the deadly Crossfire. Captain Susan Wright stood on the bridge of the defense platform Cerberus, all watching the battle unfold on her tactical displays. She had trained for this moment for 15 years, ever since joining Project Blackbird as a young officer. Now humanity's secret was finally revealed to the galaxy. All stations maintain firing patterns, she commanded calmly. Do not let a single enemy ship escape to report back to their fleet. Her tactical officer, Lieutenant Ben Parker, looked up from his console with amazement. Captain, their shields are holding better than we expected. These aliens have excellent defensive technology. Then we use the weapons they taught us to build, Wright replied with a cold smile. Switch to plasma cannon arrays. Let's see how they handle their own technology turned against them. The battle platforms around Earth began firing different weapons. Instead of energy beams, they now shot streams of superheated plasma that burned through space like miniature stars. The alien ship's shields flared bright white as they struggled to absorb the devastating attacks. Commander Zelthos felt his command ship shake as another plasma blast struck their hull. His shields were down to 60% and falling fast. Around him, his crew worked frantically to return fire, but their weapons seemed to have little effect on the human battle stations. Sir, the enemy platforms have shield technology equal to our own, his weapons officer reported. Our standard weapons are barely scratching their defenses. How is that possible? Zalthos demanded, though he was beginning to understand the terrible truth. Scan their weapon signatures again. The science officer ran the analysis quickly, her face growing pale as she read the results. Commander, these weapons are based on hegemony technology. Power signatures match our own plasma systems almost exactly. Zalthos felt his world crumble around him. The humans were using hegemony weapons against the hegemony fleet. They had somehow acquired advanced alien technology and improved upon it. The intelligence reports had been completely wrong, sir. His communications officer called out. I'm receiving a transmission from the human command ship. Put it through, Zalthos ordered, desperate for any chance to salvage the situation, Captain. Wright's image appeared on the main screen, her human face calm and determined. Behind her, Zelthus could see a bridge that looked almost as advanced as his own. Commander Zelthus's Wright began. This is Captain Wright of the Earth Defense Force. You are surrounded and outgunned. Surrender your ships immediately, or be destroyed. Zalthos tried to project confidence he did not feel. Human, you cannot defeat the might of the hegemony. Our main battle groups will crush your pathetic world. Wright's smile was dangerous. Commander, let me explain something to you. 64 years ago, one of your survey probes crashed on our planet. We've had a very long time to study your technology and improve upon it. The alien commander felt his heart sink as the implications became clear. Impossible. Our probes do not crash. This one did, Wright continued. And it was the best thing that ever happened to humanity. We learned that we were not alone in the universe, and we learned that we needed to be ready for visitors like you. Behind Wright, the Earth defense platforms continued their devastating attack on the alien fleet. 3 of Zelthos' ships were already severely damaged, their hulls venting atmosphere into space. His proud scout fleet was being systematically destroyed by the species he had come to conquer. Your probe told us everything we needed to know about hegemony technology, Wright went on. We reverse-engineered your weapons, your shields, your engines. Then we made them better. In the hidden command center beneath Cheyenne Mountain, Colonel Andrew Stone watched the battle through satellite feeds. Technicians around him monitored the performance of weapons systems that had been built in absolute secrecy for over half a century. Sir. The alien fleet is down to 9 operational ships, reported his aide, Major Linda Torres. Their weapons are having minimal effect on our platforms. Stone nodded with grim satisfaction. Maintain the attack pattern. Remember, our objective is to prevent any ship from escaping to warn their main fleet. Around Earth's orbital space, the hidden shipyards were launching more vessels. These were not the primitive chemical rockets the aliens expected to see. They were sleek warships powered by fusion drives and armed with weapons that could crack asteroids in half. Commander Daniel Carter, still aboard the Phoenix, watched the battle with a mixture of awe and horror. His small diplomatic mission had turned into humanity's first space war, and they were winning. Nicole, are you recording all of this? He asked his engineer. Foster nodded, her eyes wide as she watched human ships that looked like they belonged. In the far future, Daniel, where did all these ships come from? How long has Earth been building a space navy? Apparently longer than any of us knew, Carter replied. He opened a channel to Captain Wright. Cerberus, this is Phoenix. Do you need any assistance? Wright's voice came back immediately. Negative, Phoenix. Stay clear of the combat zone. This is what we trained for. Commander Zalthos was running out of options. Half his fleet was damaged or destroyed, and the humans showed no signs of stopping their attack. His remaining ships were trapped in a sphere of enemy fire with no way to escape. Sir, we have to retreat. His helm officer pleaded. If we stay here, we will all die. Zalthos knew his officer was right, but his pride as a hegemony commander would not let him flee from primitive humans. Even as his ship shook under another plasma blast, he refused to accept defeat. Never, he snarled. We are hegemony. We do not run from inferior species. But even as he spoke, another of his ships exploded in a brilliant fireball. The humans were not just defeating his fleet, they were annihilating it with cold efficiency. Captain Wright watched the alien commander's ship on her tactical display. The vessel was heavily damaged, but still fighting. She had to admire the alien's courage, even as she prepared to destroy him. Target the command ship, she ordered. Concentrated fire from all platforms. Ma'am, Lieutenant Parker said hesitantly. They might surrender if we give them the chance. Wright's expression hardened. They came here to conquer Earth and enslave humanity. They threatened to destroy our cities. No mercy. The space around Zalthos' ship lit up as dozens of human weapons fired simultaneously. His shields flared bright blue and then failed completely. The next volley of plasma blasts struck his hull directly, tearing through armor that had protected hegemony ships for 1,000 years. As his command ship began to break apart around him, Zalthos finally understood the magnitude of his mistake. The humans had not been primitive at all. They had been waiting, preparing, and planning for this exact moment. His last thought before the ship exploded was a warning he would never be able to deliver. The hegemony had underestimated humanity, and that mistake would cost them everything. In space around Earth, the battle was ending. Of the 12 alien ships that had arrived to scout humanity's defenses, only 2 remained functional. Both were heavily damaged and completely surrounded by human forces. The trap had worked perfectly. Earth's secret was finally revealed, but none of the aliens would live to report it back to their empire. Captain Wright opened a channel to all human forces. This is Cerberus Actual. Mission accomplished. Earth orbital space is secure. For the first time in human history, they had won a battle among the stars. The battle was almost over. Of the 12 alien ships that had come to scout Earth, only 2 remained operational. Both vessels hung in space like wounded animals, their hulls torn open and leaking atmosphere. Fires burned inside their broken compartments visible through the cracks in their armor. Commander Zalthos was dead. Zalos was dead, his command ship nothing but scattered debris drifting through the void. The remaining alien crews found themselves completely surrounded by human forces that had appeared from nowhere. Their weapons were depleted, their shields were down, their engines were failing. Captain Susan Wright studied the tactical display. On her bridge, the 2 surviving alien ships posed no immediate threat, but they represented a different kind of danger. If even one managed to escape and report back to the hegemony, Earth would face a full invasion force that could number in the thousands of ships. Captain Lieutenant Ben Parker reported from his station. Both remaining vessels are attempting to repair their hyperspace drives. If they succeed, they could escape within the hour. Wright nodded grimly. She had expected this. Wounded animals were often the most dangerous. Signal all platforms, she ordered. Prepare for final assault. No alien ship leaves this system, but the aliens were not finished fighting. The commander of the second ship, a scarred veteran named Kethfer, had watched his fleet die around him. His purple skin was pale with shock, but his military training kept him focused on survival. Engineering, he called to his remaining crew. What is the status of our hyperspace drive, sir? We need another 30 minutes to complete repairs. Came the reply from a young technician whose voice shook with fear. Kethra looked at his tactical display. The human ships were moving into attack formation again. He had maybe 10 minutes before they opened fire. Not enough time to escape, but perhaps enough time to send a warning. Communications, prepare a data burst transmission to Hegemony Command. Everything we have learned about human capabilities. Sir, transmission ready. Send it now. Maximum power on all frequencies. The alien ship's communication array blazed with energy as it broadcast a desperate warning across the galaxy. The message contained detailed scans of human weapons, shield, technology, and ship designs. If the transmission reached the Hegemony fleet, they would know exactly what they were facing. Colonel Andrew Stone detected the transmission immediately from his command center beneath Cheyenne Mountain. His face went pale as he realized what the aliens were trying to do. Major Torres, are we jamming their communications? Yes, sir, but they're using tremendous power. Some of the signal might get through our interference. Stone grabbed his secure phone and dialed Captain Wright directly. Cerberus, this is Mountain Home. The aliens are transmitting intelligence data about our capabilities. Stop that transmission immediately. Wright was already moving before Stone finished speaking. All platforms concentrate fire on the alien communication arrays. Do not let them complete that transmission. Space lit up once again as human weapons focused their fire on the alien ship's communication systems. Plasma beams and energy bolts struck the broadcasting equipment, turning sophisticated alien technology into molten metal and sparking circuits. The transmission cut off abruptly as both alien ships lost their ability to communicate. Kethver watched his last hope disappear in flames and realized that his mission had completely failed. Not only had they been unable to scout Earth's defenses, but now no one would ever know what had happened to Scout Fleet Gamma 7. Sir, his weapons officer said quietly, our guns are still operational. Should we make a final attack? Kethver considered the option. His ship was dying, his crew was dead or wounded, and there was no hope of escape. Got a Hegemony military. Doctrine was clear. Never surrender to inferior species. Target the largest human platform, he ordered. If we are going to die, we die fighting. The damaged alien ship turned slowly toward the Cerberus and fired its remaining weapons. Energy. Beams lanced across space, striking Wright's platform and causing her shields to flare bright blue. Return fire, Wright commanded without emotion. End this. The response was overwhelming. Every human platform and ship in the area opened fire simultaneously. The alien vessel disappeared in a storm of plasma and energy that lit up the darkness, like a small star. When the light faded, nothing remained but glowing particles of vaporized metal. One alien ship remained. The final vessel hung motionless in space, its crew apparently too shocked or frightened to continue fighting. Captain Wright opened a communication channel to give them one last chance. Alien vessel, this is Captain Wright. Your weapons are disabled and your ship is dying. Surrender now, and you will be taken prisoner. Continue to resist, and you will be destroyed. Inside the last alien ship, the surviving crew members looked at each other with despair. Their commander was wounded, half their systems were offline, and they were completely outmatched. The smart choice was obvious, but pride and military conditioning are powerful forces. The wounded alien commander, a female named Salandra, pulled herself upright in her command chair. Never, she transmitted back to the humans. The hegemony does not surrender to primitives. Then you have chosen death, Wright replied simply. The final alien ship died the same way as all the others, in a brilliant explosion that briefly outshone the stars. When the light faded, Scout Fleet Gamma 7 had been completely destroyed. No alien survivors remained to report back to their empire. Commander Daniel Carter watched the last explosion from the bridge of the Phoenix. The diplomatic mission he had launched that morning had turned into humanity's first interstellar war, and they had won decisively. Ryan, are you recording everything? Communications specialist Ryan Clark nodded, still staring at his instruments in amazement. Every sensor reading, every transmission, every weapon signature. This is going to change everything we thought we knew about human technology. Engineer Nicole Foster was analyzing the debris from the alien ships. Daniel, these materials are Incredible. Their whole armor is stronger than anything we've ever seen, and their power cores use principles we don't understand. Carter opened a channel to Captain Wright. Cerberus, this is Phoenix. What happens now? Wright's voice was calm but tired. The battle had lasted only 4 hours, but it felt like days. Now, we clean up the debris and prepare for what comes next. This was just a scout fleet, Commander. The real invasion force is still out there. Back on Earth, President William Hayes was addressing the world from the Oval Office. For the first time in human history, he was telling the global population that they were not alone in the universe, and that they had just survived their first alien attack. "My fellow humans," he began, his voice steady despite the magnitude of what he was revealing. "Today marks a new chapter in our species' history. We have made contact with an alien civilization, and we have successfully defended our world against their aggression." Around the globe, people stopped what they were doing to listen. The revelation that Earth had been attacked by aliens was shocking enough. The news that humanity had secretly developed advanced space defenses was even more stunning. For over 60 years, the president continued, an international coalition has been preparing for this day. The crashed alien probe recovered in 1961 taught us that we needed to be ready for contact with hostile civilizations. Today, that preparation saved our world. Dr. Lisa Grant watched the president's speech from her control room at Arecibo. She thought about all the nights she had spent searching for signs of alien life, never knowing that humanity had already found it decades ago. Dr. James Murphy sat beside her, both of them still processing everything they had witnessed. "Lisa, do you realize what this means? We're not just a single planet anymore. We're part of a galactic community, whether we want to be or not." Lisa nodded slowly. "And we just announced our presence to that community in the most dramatic way possible. We destroyed an entire alien fleet. In the depths of space, far from Earth's solar system, Admiral Vexstar waited for a report that would never come. The scheduled check-in time for Scout Fleet Gamma 7 had passed hours ago. Standard procedure called for a follow-up transmission within 1 day of the missed contact. Communications officer Vexstar called to his subordinate. "Any word from Commander Zelthos?" "No, sir." "Complete radio silence from the target system?" Vexstar felt the first stirrings of concern. Scout fleets occasionally encountered unexpected problems, but they always maintained contact. The fact that 12 ships had gone completely silent was extremely unusual. "Prepare a reconnaissance probe," he ordered. "I want to know what happened." "To my ships." But the probe would take weeks to reach Earth's solar system. By then, humanity would have had time to analyze the alien technology, reverse engineer new improvements, and prepare even stronger defenses. Captain Wright stood on the observation deck of the Cerberus, looking out at the debris field that had once been an alien fleet. The battle was over, but the war was just beginning. She knew that more aliens would come, and next time they would be ready for human capabilities. Captain Lieutenant Parker approached her with a datapad, the analysis. "Teams have finished their preliminary reports on the alien technology. You're going to want to see this."